Welcome to the seafront at South Sea for the final domestic event in the Great Run calendar. It's the world's leading 10-mile race, the Great South Run of 2012. This year, a record field of 25,000 runners are lined up to take in the course that features the sights of Portsmouth's famous Old Naval Dockyard. Your commentary team are Tim Hutchins and Stuart Story.
25,000 entries, and let's have a look at the route over 10 miles for them. It starts in Clarence Esplanade, moves out towards the High Street at 1 mile there, into the Heritage area, turning right to Queen Street and then heading to Winston Churchill Avenue. Quick turn back down Montgomery Way, 6 miles, Winston Garden House, towards 7 at Eastern Parade, back at 8 miles on that long 2-mile challenging part, past the South Pier to the finish. It really is quite challenging, that last 2 miles. Well, Julia Bleasdale, there she is, a young woman who finished in 8th place in both the 5,000 and the 10,000 metres in the Olympic Games. And next to her, an athlete of some quality over the years, Berhane Adere, the former world half marathon champion, 10,000 metre champion, twice Bupa Great North Run champion from Ethiopia. And then Joe Pavey, the 7th place in the Olympic 5 and 10,000 metres, winner of the Great South Run in 2006, our previous winner. And individual stopwatches poised. And the starter will be Dame Kelly Holmes. She has on the right, and Dame Kelly has athletes in the masses behind running for the Kelly Holmes Trust. But the elite will go off, and the masses, of course, will be stretching way, way back. And Tim Hutchins alongside me here. The masses will go off in waves according to their abilities.
Yes, they will, and of course those masses will be standing around for a long, long time, many of them, before they can cross the start line and actually get running. It's a cold morning, as you said, Stuart. Actually, I think quite a few degrees colder than is ideal. We talk now about cold temperatures being conducive to good distance running, but there's a certain point below which it really isn't to help. We've had this north wind, mind you, for several days across the UK, of course, and it's no different here in Portsmouth. And I think that'll actually help the runners here today. The wind is not coming off the sea like it normally does into their faces.
Well, it's quite obvious to me that Joe Pavey means business here. She's really started off and establishing the tenor of the race, followed by Adere. And also we should mention Gemma Steele as well, who's just out of your shot on the right. Jafini was there on the left. But that is the scene as the elite make their way down the Clarence Esplanade and down onto Pembroke Road and then through the High Street and then into that famous heritage area at 2 miles where we've got the HMS Victory and HMS Warrior. There's so much history in this part of the world. But these athletes, there'll be club athletes, there'll be those who are running for the very, very first time. There'll be a lot of debutantes in this. Joe Pavey has increased her lead at the front. The first mile was pretty quick, and the rest have attempted to stay with her. Gemma Steele is there, as you can see, with the blonde hair in the second place. Jafini on her right to our left. Adere behind her. So this is a gap of some significance early on, and particularly when you know that Joe Pavey's run this race before. The winner in 2006, she knows it well. It's fast, it's flat, and really she is, look at that, 5:17, the last mile.
That's quick, Stuart. Yes, I mean, Joe here is clearly in control, and 5:17 tempo for that first mile for Joe. Well, she's heading for something here around 52 minutes, I would say, and really, when you think that your first mile is not normally the quickest, you're getting into your running and getting into your rhythm, and she's found that now. And to be so comfortable on your own like this, you really have got to be very much on top of your game. And you can see the gap has grown from 5 metres to 25 metres over the last half mile. It's opening quickly now.
The course record, the fastest on this course, 51 seconds by Sonia O'Sullivan, as far as I can see, back in 2002.
I'd be very surprised if that course record was under threat here, despite the quality of Joe's running through this year and clearly through to today as well. It's really cold, as we can see from the gloves and the headgear that Joe's wearing. And the rest of them don't really look up for it at all. I mean, they've almost thrown in the towel already, Stuart, with that bigger gap after, what, less than 2 miles. The danger in this sort of situation too is that the pack settle for second place at best and start watching each other, and they ignore the runaway leader, and the size of that gap, I mean, that's 40 metres.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the first 2 miles. She's gone away, and she said she was confident. Remember, she wanted to go to the Olympic Games in the marathon, and then, of course, was unable to do so because athletes came past her time. She took a risk, and at the end of the day, I think it was the other Briton, wasn't it, Claire Hallisey, who took her place by running a very fine London marathon. That's prior to the Olympic marathon, and took Joe's pace. So Joe went into the 5 and the 10,000 metres, and of course became the first European to finish behind the Africans in that. But this is real talent. This is absolute talent. There was one moment that you thought that the rest were going to come back. Ejefini tried it to come on and then thought better of it. She's with the red top and the blue short. Then Gemma Steele is there, Adere is there. In fact, everybody who should be there is in that second group, and just coming 2 miles, look there. So 2 miles it is, 10:44 for the trailing group through 2 miles.
The athletes will be walked forwards to the line now behind that, just in front of that monstrous field. Look at the masses there, a sea of humanity. Of course, one of the primary domestic athletes is Andrew Lemoncello, the 30-year-old Briton who's had a very, very frustrating race, despite being based in Flagstaff, Arizona. There is the Scot, 8th in the London Marathon a couple of years ago, but he spent much of this year injured. He's just had a couple of road races so far this year, both of them recently, and he'll be looking for a boost to his confidence. He was 5th here last year. There's Taruku Bekele. Now, I think this man's going to be involved in a real dust-up with Abel Kirui. Bekele was the bronze medalist at 10,000 metres behind Mo Farah in the Olympic Stadium, and this is a rare outing for him on the roads. And there's Abel Kirui, the Olympic silver medalist at the marathon. This is his first race since the Olympic Games, that astonishing 3-lap race around the streets of London. They're about to get underway, but look for those two to really set the streets on fire here.
You know, the statistic about the Olympic silver medalist, and we say he's the world champion, he's won the last 2 world titles in the marathon, so he is absolutely a class act. And that is the sight, really, as they go out along the sea, along the esplanade, towards the heritage area, along Clarence Esplanade, along Pembroke Road, then the High Street at Old Portsmouth, towards the heritage area, right in the distance there. You can see the spinnaker, the top of the shot. But at this stage, those that are raising charity, and there are many, many of them raising money for charity. Kelly Holmes, of course, as I mentioned earlier, her charity, she's got a team running for her in this race. They're running for the Kelly Holmes Trust. Well, Gemma Steele leading Ejefini on her right there, Adere behind her on the left, and pretty well everyone's there as well. Hallisey is there, so is Julia Bleasdale. They're all there in that trailing group. A couple dropping off the back there, though, Tim, as we can see, but they're having to stretch to stay anywhere in sight of Joe Pavey, who's gone off, as we've seen and mentioned before, with such a vengeance. She really is determined. It's a personal race for her, and the rest of now looks as though they've settled for second place, because Joe Pavey is not the sort of athlete that goes out and does silly things. You can see them in the background, and actually that looks closer than they actually are.
Yeah, no, it's a big gap now. Joe, of course, has got enormous confidence. She was an Olympic finalist. We forget this. She was an Olympic finalist in Sydney back in 2000 at 5,000 metres, so she's been around a long time. Athletes like Gemma Steele, although she's been running really well for a couple of years now, Gemma Steele, are growing in confidence and experience. And I'm pleased to see Gemma at the front of that chasing pack. And I'd like to see her get her head down now and try and break away from the rest of that pack. She's got the calibre to finish at least in second place in this race today.
You can see Bekele there and Abel Kirui. Kirui starting off with Lemoncello in third place in the early stages of this race, and you can understand that this is real class, absolute class. When you win the World Championship Marathon twice, you then go to the Olympics, you get second place. He went off very strangely in the Olympic Marathon, incidentally, did Kirui. and in the end paid a little bit of a penalty. It was a very erratic race.
Well, he put in this crazy surge in the first half of the race in the London Olympic Marathon, which was so strange for somebody who was one of the favourites. And I think he did for himself in that. I mean, he did incredibly well to rally and take the silver medal, but it may have blown his chances of taking gold with that.
Just look at the fellow in yellow. That looks like Mokoka. And if it is Mokoka, then he's class as well. Stephen Mokoka of South Africa is one of the late entries to this race. Diminutive figure. Was second in this race in 2009 behind Mo Farah, but it was a really good close encounter between him and Mo. And as you can see, look at this, he's off. He's going away from here. He ran in the Olympic Marathon, incidentally. Had a disappointing last 12K in the Olympic Marathon. He went, he lost 38 places, if I'm honest, to 49th place, 2:19. So he ran out of steam in the end of the marathon. But my goodness me, is 46:26 is the official time in coming second to Mo back in 2009. And he's gone ahead now